Hello, sir. Sir, good morning, sir. Kumar Swamira, sir. Hello. Hello.
Hello. వినపడుతుందా? కుమార్ స్వామిరావు స్పీకింగ్.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. యూట్యూబ్ కనబడట్లేదు కదా? హలో.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Are you able to listen to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Screen is coming.
Yes, screen is coming. Yes, sir. But you have to put in slideshow mode.
Now is it coming?
Yes, sir. Now it is in slideshow mode. Now everything is perfect, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is perfect, sir.
Okay. Hello.
Sir, start your session, sir.
Okay.
Adi full resolution. Sir, start your session, sir.
Okay, I'm starting.
Yes, sir.
Good morning to you all. Good morning to you all. Yesterday or on Friday, I said that I will be giving the.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we should know what is the reason for invention of this radar. Radar came into operation in after 1935. After 1935. So, First World War took place in 1914 to 1918. At that time, the aircrafts were just invented by the Wright brothers, and they were not extensively used for the military purpose. So the wars were at that time fought with the tanks and people going from the territory into enemy territory using artillery guns, then using the tanks, using the vehicles, things like that. But then after the Second World War, which started at 1939, what happened was Germany, which is a combination of Germany, Italy, and Japan, they formed into one group. They started invading all the countries around them. Then they were, by that time, by 1925, they manufactured large number of these aircrafts, military aircrafts. The advantage of military aircrafts is that you need not send your army into the territory of the enemy. First, the military aircrafts go and bombard the territory of the enemy. After all the installations are bombed and destroyed, the army walks into that particular country. So the large number of aircrafts, hundreds of, for example, Germany at that time was having more than 1,200 military aircrafts manufactured in their military factories. So they occupied, immediately occupied countries like France, then the Brazil, then they occupied Poland, they occupied Holland, all the European countries they occupied, and the only country that was left in Europe was Britain. Britain was, as you know, was a stronger country. It was having large number of colonies like India, Ceylon, things like that. They are rich, but unfortunately, they were not having a means of stopping the German aircraft bombers coming and destroying, releasing bombs in their territory. So in 1939, when the actually war started, there was an immediate urgency of trying to find out at least where from the German aircrafts are coming in, from which direction they are coming, and give an interval of 20 to 30 minutes so that their aircraft go, that is, they are called the intercept aircraft, go into the air, because aircrafts take some time for the engines to roll out of their the runways. So therefore, what happened was that they were desperately wanting 20 to 30 minutes of prior warning before the German aircraft start coming into their territory for bombing. So there was no way to find out except through the binoculars, but binoculars are useless when there is a raining or when there is a clouds. So now what happened was the concept of whether we can use electromagnetic waves for generating, getting an echo from an object like aircrafts. So a team was formed with actually the team was formed with Robert Watson. They were carrying out huge amount of lot of funds were given to him. Their concept was to send an electromagnetic wave into the air and get back the reflections. So in that particular case, they wanted a very high, powerful device to send electromagnetic waves. Those days, there was no device, electromagnetic device to give kilowatts of power. When the power is more, the distance from which the echoes come will be large enough, and they will be able to get a warning time of 20 to 25. Fortunately, with the help of USA was not there in the war at that time. They devised a magnetron which was working at this 10 to 15 meters, 10 to 15 meters. So it was, the frequency was 20 to 30 megahertz. You see the antennas there. These are the antennas there. So they had a transmitter. Hello, the people who know, in the olden days, we used to have the TVs. The TVs used to have these elements, like these elements used to be there. Now we have the satellite TV and cable TV. But when those days, when TV was transmitted from air, we used to have this kind of an antennas. So these these two transmitters are located side by side, working at 10 to 15 megahertz. They used to give the power almost 150 to 200 watts. So when the CW, at that time CW radar was the only radar known, that kind of concept was known to the people there. So when this powerful 100 kilowatts to 150 kilowatts transmitter was invented, they were able to receive the echoes from this receive tower here. The smaller receiver tower is there. They used to get this reflections before. Those days there was no display. So whatever they used to get those reflections from different towers located at a different distances, they used to get that information through telephones. They used to have a large plotter like a thing, drawing board like a thing. They used to put those small toy aircrafts from where they are coming. The military people who are there, the bosses, the commanders, used to see the picture of the total space, and they used to give the commands to the interceptor to go up in the air and then try to shoot down those bombers. That is how they say the Britain was saved, because of at that particular point the radar, which was conceived as a UHF radar, was put into operation. So afterwards, what happened was Germans could not bomb this any territory. This territory, if you see here, this bubble, this is the England. This is the coastal line of England, and you see the bubble here. Any aircraft that is coming from into the bubble, that is the electromagnetic influence, that is the image of us, used to receive. So therefore, they used to get the location, angular location. At the same time, they used to get the range also. So using some kind of a technique in CW. Normally in CW, you don't get the range, but they used some technique which gives them the range of the aircraft. That is how Germany was unable to achieve air superiority. Invasion of Great Britain was postponed indefinitely. In between, of course, as you know, history says that Hitler made one more mistake. He started sending his army into Russia, and there he faced a lot of problems because of cold. The soldiers could not sustain. So many soldiers died there, and however, that is what happened. And Japan, which was also an ally of that Hitler at that time, they made one more mistake of bombing the Pearl Harbor of America. America then entered into the war at that point in time. Otherwise, America was not of the war. So once America, which was also powerful economically, entered, and the things started changing in going against the Germany, then Japan and Italy. So that is how the Second World War ended, by occupying the Germans. They divided Germany into East Germany and West Germany. This is the history. So therefore, radar was some kind of a savior for the humankind. Otherwise, if Hitler would have occupied the whole of the nations, because he was basically a person who wants to torture the Jews and many other tribes, we do not know how many people would have died by this time. So now, this is the history of radar. So those days, the technology was not advanced. Technology was not advanced. From 1944 onwards, knowing the importance of the radar, things started changing. So military started experimenting on higher frequencies. If you see those towers, they are 240 feet towers they were erected in a span of probably 6 to 9 months. So much of effort went into that particular point in time. So when the frequencies increases, this antenna sizes comes down because of the speed. So now today's radars are not that big. They are working at higher frequencies, going up to even 36 gigahertz. The antenna sizes became very small, and military started using this technology for their purpose in a exactly advantage to them. So coming back to the positive attributes of this particular radar invented was long-range detection and tracking of targets thousands of miles possible. The biggest advantage is that it is whether day-night operation is possible, and it can search wide area search capability. When you see the older 1944, those chain home, they are called chain home radar, the beam widths were almost 100 degrees. So, but with the increase in frequency, we could now get the smaller beams, and therefore the accuracy, beam accuracy, the angle accuracy increased. Then there is a problem of clutter. The clutter means that the electromagnetic wave not only gets reflected from the aircraft, ships, or other things, they also get reflected from the high-rise towers like water tanks, things like that. So this became a big problem later, which was later solved by the pulse Doppler radar, which we will study in detail. So this is how the history of the total radar, the invention. There was a necessity. Today, you know, a lot of countries are trying to get a vaccine for COVID. Similarly, that was a desperate situation at that time because German bombers were destroying, number of buildings were destroyed. London, half of London, and many of the cities were destroyed at that point in time. Okay, then there are other negative attributes to this radar also. That is, it cannot penetrate new earth and water. That is why when we want to find out a submarine which is inside the water, a radar is not useful. But there is an alternative method which is called the sonar. They send in place of electromagnetic energy, sound waves, which is called the sonar. Principle also is same as the radar. And as time progressed, what happened was when you send electromagnetic energy into the air, somebody can put a receiver with a small antenna, and it can receive the particular signal. Not only the echo is received by the receiver, but a transmitted signal will be received by the enemy, and he will be able to tell in which direction the radar are there. Okay, so there is what is called once you know that a particular frequency is being transmitted from the radar system, the radar system necessity, as you know, is to find out the echo. This jamming of that particular system by introducing noise into the echo. Once you introduce noise into the echo, the receiver system will get saturated. It will not know from which direction the echo is coming. So the technique of jamming came into picture. Today, radars are vulnerable to jamming. So radar designers are trying to overcome this jamming and try to make the radar much more sophisticated, much more robust. But this war of which is called the electronic warfare between the jammers and the radar is continuing still. It depends upon who has got a better equipment. So this is how the present day history, if you look into this, radars are not going to be going to solve all the problems of the military. It is vulnerable to jamming. This jamming instruments equipment also has become very, very sophisticated as radar technologies also it became more and more robust. Okay. Then many of us know that radar is mostly a microwave, consists of large number of microwave equipment like antenna technology, micro engineering, RF plumbing, high power microwave transmitters, high sensitivity microwave receivers, and after this, you need to make a echo. The echo power is so low, it is neither visible, nor you can see, nor you can visualize. So therefore, you need to increase the power level. So a lot of signal processing has come into picture using super heterodyne receivers, match filters, things like that. Then after you have got the echo in a proper form, which can electronically display what is called the display technology using plant position indicators, our CRT type of displays came into picture. And since we need to find out the direction from which these targets, that is the enemy targets are there, a control system, you have to mount the total radar antenna on a control system pedestal, continuously rotate it and find out from which direction it is coming. Very fast, order of 40 to 50 RPM. You rotate it, and as it rotates, it picks up the echo from all directions. Okay. Then, if you take a very crude diagram of a particular radar, what 1944, what they used was a CW radar. CW radar is when you are transmitting continuously the signal, receiving its signal is so low, so it gets merged with the transmitting signal. So therefore, it becomes difficult to find out, to pick out the echo, because it also is of the same frequency. That is why those people started talking about what is called the pulse radar. In the case of a pulse radar, what is done is that there is a transmitter here, there is a receiver here. There is what is called a switch. It is called a transmitter receive switch. This particular switch, job of the switch, it cannot be a normal mechanical switch, or neither it can be a electronic switch. It needs to be a gas switch only, because there is no electronic switch which can switch at 1 nanosecond, 2 nanoseconds, 10 nanoseconds, like that. So therefore, the switch that is even now used as a gas switch. So the gas switch, what they do is, when they get connected for the transmitter for a short duration of, let us say, 2 microseconds. 2 microseconds, it starts transmitting this particular waveform only for a short duration, high frequency waveform. When a high frequency waveform is transmitted, when there is a target, you get an echo back. So when you get the echo back, get back this echo, and with respect to the when you are transmitted, when you measure the time, you can find out the range, because it is low. So now, in this particular case, what happens is that the TR switch first connects the transmitter for a period of 1 microsecond. Immediately after the electromagnetic wave goes into the space, this particular switch gets connected to the receiver. So now it is waiting for the echo. If the target is very near, it will get the echo within a short time. If the target is distance is more, range is more, it gets the echo after a long time. So this receiver keeps on listening until the next pulse is transmitted. At the next pulse, TR switch gets connected to the transmitter. So therefore, during the time from here to here, it starts listening to the echo. This echo, as I told you, being very small, it goes to a signal processor and our level is increased. And by using some kind of a display, you will be able to know from where the target is coming. With the next slide, we will see how a target, enemy target will be seen on a display. So this is the principle. This is the principle of the radar. This is the principle of the radar. So very crudely, this is the principle of the pulse radar. The transmitter should be very high power transmitter because we want to get the targets, enemy targets, from a very large distance, Higher the power, greater will be the range detection. The antenna here, the advantage of this particular pulse radar is that same radar can be used for transmission and antenna. For a short time, you can connect it to the transmitter, and for a short time, for a duration of the pulse interval, this antenna is connected to the receiver. Okay. Then the receiver, we will go to the details at a later time, what it contains, how you design the receiver, what are the filters that you use to remove the noise, because as the electromagnetic wave goes into air for a long distance, it picks up a lot of noise. Okay. Now, let us see. This is a visual diagram of where a radar is deployed. You see this antenna here. This antenna is rotating in a clockwise direction. So if you say this is the north direction, let us call this as a north 0 degree. There are two ships here. There is an aircraft. There is an aircraft. There is an aircraft. There is two buildings, long buildings of very large height. So what happens is when the antenna is put in the direction of this particular target, let's say there is an echo. So the receiver picks up that echo, stores it somewhere. Again, after some time, the antenna moves in a clockwise direction. It starts echoing, sending transmission energy in this direction. So you will get an echo here. Similarly, from third, as it is moving here, what is happening is the beam is now focused on different targets. So you will get the echoes from the different targets there, different ships, aircraft, buildings, things like that. If you see the display here, it is this after all signal processing, other electronic circuit. From the 0 degrees there, this is called the plan position indicator. When the target, there is a target here in approximately 20 degrees, and this is the aircraft. And the distance from here to here will tell us how much is the range. Of course, in this case, it is the time. Time, it will be very small times, order of microseconds or so. 1 microsecond corresponds to 150 meters. If it is, let us say, 100 microseconds, it corresponds to 15 kilometers. So therefore, the distance, this line, if you draw, the line distance, which is now in the form of time, it can be calculated in the form of a range distance. Similarly, there's a target here. There is aircraft here, there is an aircraft here. There are two high-rise buildings which are also giving the reflections. These are stationary. There are two ships here. This is how a plan position indicator, simplest form of the plan position indicator. This will not be so easy when you really see it, really see a real display. I will show you at a later time. So this is how you are able to get both the angle. This is the angle and also the page. Now in this particular case, we are not getting the height. For getting the height information, we need to get the elevation also. Elevation or side theta will give us the height. In this particular radar, no height information, no elevation information is possible, is there. Like when we come to radars, tracking radars, we will get that also. Then, as you know, the radar is useful for different purposes. As I have already told you, that it is, though it is invented for the sake of military, today radar is now very much become a part of our civilian life. Talking about this recent Kerala accident, unfortunately in India we are not so much advanced. Wherein, of course, the Kochikodi, where the aircraft landed, that is Vande Mataram aircraft landed, was having the radar. It gives information about to the ATC pilot only. But the pilot thing who is controlling the aircraft doesn't know where his position is there. In countries, European countries, more advanced countries, there is what is called the equipment. That is the angle measuring equipment in the form of LoRa. In the form of LoRa, it's called the low altitude radar. Wherein you can get where exactly you are on the runway, how far it is there. Fortunately, airports like Delhi, Calcutta, and our and Hyderabad also have got using them. Even if the pilot is blind, he will be able to correctly bring the aircraft to the center of the runway, and the accident which has happened in Kochikode couldn't have happened. It is because of the because we are not that much advanced like advanced countries where we can land the aircraft even in adverse conditions. Okay, so this is how the kind of radars which is here. Now let us go into deeper and deeper. I'll try to study how this radar gives the range, how it gives the angle. So what are the signal processing equipment subsystems are there? Which transmitters are there? What is the new technologies that are there now? Okay. So I will go to the second file, 1B. Give me 1 or 2 minutes before I go to that. Hello?
Sir, screen not visible, sir.
Okay, I have removed. I'm not getting that 1B file. Can you project that file from your side?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. I can.
Sure, sir.
You can just.
Sankara reddy sir, please present the search slide.
Okay. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can give me control. I got that file. Presenter.
Sir, I am sharing the slide, sir.
Okay. You're sharing, huh? Hello?
Yes, sir.
You can give me, now I got the file. You can give me control. Presenter.
Okay. Actually, Sankara reddy sir today did not make me organizer. Sankara reddy sir,
You can give me control.
yes, sir. It has been given
Sir,
to you,
now
sir.
you are the presenter, sir.
Okay, I got the file now.
Now we are getting the slide. Yes, sir. Now we are getting the slide.
Okay.
Sir, keep full screen, sir.
Okay. So here,
Sankara reddy sir, you can make me organizer too.
okay. Normally, there are two types of radars. One is called the primary radar, and second is called the secondary radar. This secondary radar, we will not go into the detail. This is the radar which is normally used in the ATC. ATC is the air traffic control. Using this particular radar, even if there are 100 aircrafts which are there circling or on the airport, what happens is that by means using the secondary radar, the operator will get the information which aircraft belong to which company. So there will be a symbol depicted on the airport there saying that this is a Air India aircraft, this is the BOAC aircraft, this is the KLM aircraft, and based on the that information, he controls. In our presently, we will concentrate on the primary radar. Primary radar is there are two types of radars. One is called the pulse radar, second is a continuous wave radar. As I go, I will try to explain what is the difference of this, why pulse radars are better, why in what conditions, why continuous radars are better in what conditions. So the pulse radar also it's what is called a frequency modulation. Pulse modulation is there. Continuous wave radars modulated and unmodulated is there. As everybody knows that if suppose I have got a pulse of high 100 kilowatts power and transmit that pulse for 1 microsecond. Next pulse again I transmit after, let us say, 1 millisecond. So therefore, the 1 millisecond, 1 divided by 1 millisecond is the primary frequency of that particular waveform. That means every 1 microsecond, 1 microsecond, 1 microsecond at the PRT, that is pulse repetition time of 100, that is 1000 microsecond, that is 1 millisecond, I am transmitting. In that particular case, can you transmit is the question. See, if you see 1 kilohertz, you want to transmit in air, you require lambda, that is the wavelength, which I will explain to you what is the wavelength, is given by C by F. So C is 3 to 10 to the power 8 divided by that 1000, that is 1 kilohertz, will get a lambda of almost 300 kilometers. For an antenna to transmit, convert the electrical energy into an electromagnetic energy, we need an antenna of lambda by 2. That is, we need 150 kilometers antenna, which is impossible. Therefore, you have to modulate that 1 microsecond signal. That is the reason we modulate it with 100 megahertz or 1000 megahertz or 20 gigahertz or 30 gigahertz. This is the same as your communication. Why we do it communication? We modulate because we want our antennas to be small. Our speech signal frequency is low. You can't transmit in air. Therefore, you are modulating that so that the attenuation is less and the signal passes for a longer distance. Same principle, we have a 1 microsecond pulse modulate a very high frequency, let us say 1000 megahertz. So the antenna size suddenly starts coming down, say let us say 0.3 meters or so, 0.3 meters or so. So it is the reason, that's the reason, same principle that is applied for our normal communication system apply here. So for the question that why should we use a high frequency and modulate is because of those reasons. Okay. Then when you transmit a high frequency signal, this signal, when it is transmitted, generated, it will be in the form of a CW. Continuously, the magnetron will be generated. Now, what we need is you have to modulate. We don't want the signal to continuously go. So, though you modulate it with a rectangular pulse. When you modulate this with a rectangular, it is nothing like an AND gate, which we normally use digital circuits. So what happens is a pulse modulated waveform comes with the here high frequencies are there, and that high frequency is for a duration of only 1 microsecond, 10 microseconds. So when you send it into the air, you see here RF sine wave 1 gigahertz to 40 gigahertz modulated with a short pulse. Then here, just 2 minutes I want to tell, many of you will be wondering, all our signal in nature are not sine waves. They are all zigzag wave, random waves, speech is random. When you see the waveform of the speech, it will be going up and down, spikes here and there. Then similarly, all the communication signals, video, and the music, everything is zigzag signal. But why have we, electronics people, develop all our signal processing around the only sine waves? When we talk about all our signal processing algorithms, every communication, everything, we will develop the algorithms and understanding only using sine wave. The reason is that, as you know, any signal, any zigzag signal, random signal can be divided into number of frequencies with a different amplitude. That is what Fourier. Before Fourier invented this in the 18th century, is that amplifier communication signal that was not at all, the society was not at all having this grasp over that. So therefore, only after Fourier came and told anything, any signal can be, it's a sum of different frequencies with a different amplitude. When you add all these things together, it becomes it's a zigzag signal. So when we develop the signal processing, the Fourier series, Fourier transform, first Fourier transform, any other Hankel transform, all the transform based on a sine wave theory. So when we can compute something for one sine wave, frequency or other sine wave is different, and except that amplitude is different. So you add all those signals together. It is a superposition theorem. Because of superposition theorem, and we are able to develop this kind of a signal processing, as I told you, Fourier series, Fourier transform, first Fourier transform, Hankel transform, any transform that we have, we normally deal with the sine waves. So coming back to this again, the thing is that whenever the signal reaches a particular object, it will come back. So when we are transmitting a sine wave, high frequency sine wave, at a particular period called the pulse period, somebody wanted to know what is the spectrum, how many frequencies are there, what are the amplitudes of those particular frequencies. So then it came the frequency spectrum. This is a time domain spectrum. In this, you see the frequency domain spectrum. It is, you see here, in this particular case, there is a sine wave which is called the F0. That is, this is the F0 frequency. And just to side, lesser frequencies are there. And the shape of this is sine by x. Why this shape has come? It is because you are modulating the sine wave. If you had got only one sine wave, you would have got only one line there, one line there. Since this particular pulse is there, this pulse, if you find out the Fourier, that you will get the spectrum. You get the spectrum. Why I have displayed this is, we're going to use this concept for our coming the slides. Okay. So now, when you have this is elaborated, a pulse is sent, you got the receiver. How do I get the range? How do I get the range? So when I get this particular frequency, let us say that I have got the technology to convert this particular echo signal, which is at a very low power, into a larger power, then remove that particular frequency. In communication signal also, what will you do? Carrier is removed. Carrier is removed because we want the signal, we want to listen to speech, we want to listen to music, video, so the carrier is removed. So in this case also, the signal processing circuit removes the carrier there. Once you remove the carrier, this is the envelope of the pulse we have sent. This is the envelope of pulse you have received echo. Let us assume it is we have brought it into some digital value, which is lying between 0 to 5 volts. Then what happens is, it is easier for us to have two in CRT. In one channel we will give it as to the transmitter, one channel we give it the receiver. So you measure the time here by means of the oscilloscope. So we know how to measure the time. Let us call the time T, capital T subscript R. So for the shortcut, I will call this as TR. Typically, the time I call this as TP. T is for the time, P is the pulse interval. Okay. So what is the relation between this and this? We are going to see. Okay. Now I call this TP pulse repetition time. TR time taken by EM pulse to travel to target and come back to same antenna. This is called the elapsed time. Here lies the how to find out the range. The crux of the radar is this. If you accurately measure this TR, we will be able to tell the distance. That is because we know that the range is equal to, or the distance is equal to speed into time. Speed into time. The speed of the electromagnetic wave is known to us. It is same as the electro speed of light, 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. If you get that and multiply with this time, then you get that is the whole basis of all this radars. That's the simple. Simply speaking, it is only the TR, that is the elapsed time. What is the elapsed time? The elapsed time is calculated from the rising edge of this pulse to the rising edge of the echo. Okay. Then the pulse repetition, the frequency, how do you get? As you know, 1 divided by the time will give you the pulse repetition frequency. If the pulse repetition time is known, this is also called pulse repetition interval. Sometimes we use pulse repetition interval, sometimes pulse repetition time. We call this as FP is equal to pulse repetition frequency 1 divided by 2P. So let us call capital R at a range of the target. Then velocity of target into 20. Now the transmitted pulse goes to the target, which is at a distance of R, and it comes back. That means it is traveling 2 times of R. It is traveling 2 times of R. So therefore, distance, as you know from physics, is equal to speed or velocity into time taken. So you know 2R is equal to C into TR. TR is the time taken, it is the elapsed time. So R is equal to C into C TR. This is the famous range equation for any radar. If you can measure TR, we can get CTR by 2. So here, since we are using in all our theories, we are using MK system. C, it has to be in meters per second, and the T has to be in seconds. Only T has to be in second, R has to be in meters. So suppose somebody has given me R, I want to get the R in terms of kilometers. Using this, you multiply this with 1000, you multiply TR, it is given microseconds to the power of -6, but what we get is here 0.15 TR. So for our easy remembrance, if you want to get the in kilometers, if you measure TR in microseconds, multiply with the 0.15, then you get the range in kilometers. So this is that means 1 microsecond corresponds to 0.15 kilometer or 150 meters. In all our future slides presentation, we will be sticking on to R. If T is in TR is in microsecond, it will be 1 microsecond corresponds to 150 meters. But unfortunately, this standard is not used by many countries like Britain, and there what they use is earlier also we used to use what is called the statue mile. Statue mile corresponds to 1.6094 kilometers. And this statue mile is different from the nautical mile. This statue mile is applied to a land which is very flat. Suppose the ship is there, it is not the sea's surface is not flat. It is spheroid surface. So they use what is called the nautical mile there. So there is a difference between nautical and statue mile. This is given by 1.85 kilometers. Why I have put this is because the students who write the examination, they will be given problems. They will be normally told about the nautical mile. Since once you know the nautical mile, you have to multiply that with 1.85 kilometers meters. We use the meter. That's the reason. That's all. So if the target range is equal to measured time PR to speed of light by 6. Then that is what is called a maximum range. See this PR which you have been seeing here, what happens is, let us say, this is the distance of the target. So now the target is slightly having moved. So this pulse moves. Still moving, the pulse still moves. So pulse keep on moving as the aircraft range distance is. What happens if the aircraft is just at the point where the second pulse is starting? So this makes there some that is called beyond this, if the aircraft is there, if the target is there, you will be getting the range, but it is an ambiguous range. That is, the maximum range is only when PR is equal to TP. When PR is equal to TP, you get what is called the unambiguous range. Beyond this, if the target is that the aircraft is more than this, you will get what is called ambiguous range. I will show you, illustrate this in the form of a diagram. Okay. I told you ambiguous range, that is the maximum unambiguous range, which is called R maximum, is equal to CT by 2. So R is equal to CTR by 2, or max is equal to CT by 2. So beyond this, if you the target is there, R max is beyond that, you will get what is called ambiguous range, also called second time around goal. Let us see. I will illustrate this with this kind of a diagram. There is a radar of an aircraft here, and there is a helicopter 5. So here what happens is the maximum range is cutoff range is this much. There is a dotted line here, no dots are there. Any helicopter or any aircraft tipping this, there is no problem. So here you measure this time, TR, then find out the range of the particular object there. But take the second thing. Suppose it is here. Suppose it is beyond. Then what happens? Then what happens is, when you send the first pulse, you have not received the echo, even though the second pulse is sent. But definitely you will get the echo. This echo pertains to this echo which is coming here after the second pulse is because of the echo of the first pulse. The operator or the signal processing or the display will mistake this as the echo from the second pulse, because first pulse and second pulse are same, characteristics are same. So therefore, what happens is ambiguity comes. Do you think that this is the range, or do you think this is the range? So therefore, let us see in an illustrative way. There is a 100 microsecond PRT, then it corresponds to 15 kilometers. Now, there is a target at 18 kilometers. 18 kilometers corresponds to 120 microseconds. This is based on 1 kilometers corresponds to 1 microsecond. So therefore, what happens is the echo is of the target has come 20 microseconds after the second pulse P2 has come. So when you see the CRT, what happens is first pulse you have said nothing, no echo has come. Second pulse you have sent then what happens is you have received this here. Third pulse you have sent. So this is the echo of the not the third pulse, but this is the echo of the second pulse. Similarly, for this, you get the echo here. So when we put this on a CRT display, because you have to sync all these pulses. What happens is T1, T2, T3, T4 being at the same 130 microsecond, you see a single pulse, but here you see all these pulses at the same time. That means you will mistake that it is at a 20 microsecond. It is equivalent to 3 kilometers per second. Okay, so therefore, what happens is, how do you resolve this particular problem? How do you resolve this particular problem? So this is called the second time around code. It is possible you may get third time around the code. Third time around is that you get the pulse after the third pulse has come. So is there a method to overcome this? People have used what is called the staggered PRX. What is called the staggered PRX. In the case of the staggered PRX, what happens is the pulse intervals are not same. It is first it is 100 microsecond, it is 101 microsecond, it is 102 microsecond. Because of this, the target has not changed. It is still 20 microseconds only. For the first pulse, you have not received it. For the second pulse, you have received after the 20 microseconds. For the third pulse, what has happened is, since this length has to be maintained at 120 microsecond, this is 101 microsecond. This is 101 microsecond. It is 120 minus 101 is 19 microsecond. So therefore, you see on the third trace 19 microsecond. If it is 102 microsecond third interval, 120 minus 102 will give you 80. So therefore, the T4 pulse, T4 echo will come after 80. If you combine all these things like in a CRT, you see this. There is an envelope. It's like a one pulse after the pulse, another pulse like this. So there is a conglomeration of these pulses. Earlier, there is only one pulse. The operator will now know that there is what is called actually the target is beyond the 100 microsecond. So he will try to correct this. Of course, there is this way of doing this there, and this can be done also in signal processing also. So therefore, this is how second time around echoes are eliminated. Second time around echoes are eliminated. So the unambiguous range is nothing but the maximum range, which is again depending on the pulse interval, that is CTP by P. Okay. Then come back. If two aircrafts are flying nearby, very, very nearby, is it possible to recognize them as two aircraft? That is called the range resolution. Range resolution of a radar is ability to distinguish two closely spaced targets along the same line of sight. This is very important for military people because targets they will purposefully come at a very where the distances between aircraft will be very, very small. So whether the radar is able to distinguish that one target, two targets, is the problem of the radar. So how do you get this? How do you resolve this? How much is the range resolution? So this is just one diagram here. There is a target 1, there is a target 2. There's difference is there in range here. Let us say the pulse length is 80. So the pulse has this is the leading edge, this is the trailing edge. The pulse has the first leading edge has struck the first target, it starts returning. How long it will get to return? It will get this particular pulse will be on until the pulse length LC. This length is LC. This is got stuck after some time. Started returning after some time. So therefore, this length is equal to pulse width here. This pulse width your center is still forward go beyond because electromagnetic energy keeps going into the air. So therefore, it goes at the speed of the light and strikes them. So by the time it returns the pulse, that is the ongoing first pulse by on the return, that is the leading edge on the trailing edge is the leading edge of the second pulse and the trailing edge of the first pulse of the radar. If they do not coincide, then you are safe. That means you have got two targets. If it is not safe, if the pulse length is more or the distance is less, then what happens is these two pulses get mingled. Here you see here the 2 R1 minus R2. This is in terms of, if you convert in terms of the time, this is we should always be less than 2. So therefore, the wave resolution of the radar is the target resolution depends upon the pulse. So here you see that this is 300 meters. Difference is there between first pulse to the second echo and 1 microsecond pulse is there. So 1 microsecond corresponds to 150 meters. If the range difference is 300 meters, no problem. 2 echoes are there. If the range difference is 150 meters, then you get a problem there just to coincide. If it is 75 meters, then what happens is it is object. That means this particular radar is not in a position to resolve the two targets in phase. This is very important for velocity. Similarly, coming to the not only to the velocity, but even for ATC is also very important. And what we need the angular. As all of you know that whenever an electrical signal is converted to electromagnetic signal and sent through the antenna, it will have a field depending on the antenna size. Okay, so this particular antenna, this is like a baseball. Baseball, the shape is like a baseball. So therefore, this is the maximum intensity, lesser intensity like that. So when a target, two targets are here, if it is falling in the same field, you do not know whether the echo is from here to here. So what it tells is that the angular resolution of a target depends upon the beam width. So the beam width should be small when you want to resolve the target in angle. If the beam width is less, this same angle is here, you are able to resolve these two targets. So this is a larger antenna, beam width less. This is a small antenna, smaller antenna, beam width more. It is not able to resolve. This is able to resolve in angle. Okay. Then third, the last one, 2 minutes here. Then what is the minimum range for a pulse radar? So when you have connected the transmitter for a 1 microsecond reason, for the transmitter, that is antenna is connected for 1 microsecond, it is any echo that is coming within 1 microsecond, that is within 150 meters, this receiver is not receiving because antenna is not connected. Antenna is not connected. So only when the receiver gets connected after 1 microsecond, then it starts receiving the echo. Any echoes that are coming from distances less than 150 meters will be ignored. That is called the minimum range of the target. So the minimum range of the target again is C tau by 2. Tau in case of PR, I have put tau because this tau is the pulse width. It is the pulse width. So the pulse width is the determining factor for the minimum range, because during the pulse only we have this. Okay. So you know that now ambiguous range, then angle resolution, then the resolution of the range is the third is the minimum. Then people talk about, when we talk about the communication signal, we always talk about the average power, average power. But whereas in the case of radar, we talk about the peak power. So what is peak power? What is the relationship between peak power and the average power? In this case, this is the average power is computed because we have what is called CW radars also. CW radars will not have peak power, it will have average power. For comparison's sake, we need to find out a relationship between the peak power and the average power. Power P3 into the pulse width here. That is the energy. That is the energy that is there. Then you have average coming for all the time. Average power depends upon the P average into this time interval. This time interval. P average into time interval between these two. Time interval between these two. So this time interval, we know that it is 1. So therefore, P into tau equals to P average into time. These people have introduced one equation of this. This is like this. Was P average. So we take this become what P into so P average power. So based on this, we will go.
Hello. Hello, sir.
We will completing now. Over. Tomorrow we will LCD. We will stop here. We will stop here for the present. Then go to the next.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Okay, is it okay now?
Hello, sir.
Is it okay now?
Now it is okay, sir.
Okay. Now,
Some disturbance is coming, sir, at your end.
nobody is there. I am in a small room. It is disturbance because we cannot just now gather in the Now,
Okay.
for today, I am stopping tomorrow because it is 1 hour 15 minutes. And we can take out the presentation.
Sir, please take the participants' question, sir.
Okay.
Sir, one participant is asking, is there any aircraft system that blocks the detecting system?
Okay. Present day, I told you there are radar engineers who are trying to detect get shift four functions. And the enemy wants to deny this particular information to the radar because this information through the radar is very important for a missile. The missile wants to know at what place this bomber is there. The bomber wants to somehow make this radar inoperative. So he uses what is called the EW techniques called EW. Maybe he uses the jammer, that is use the same frequency, or he takes the echo pulse and again retransmits. That is again what is called the DRSM system. Lots of technology has grown to defeat the radar. That is called the EW, electronic warfare technology. The jammer electronic attack, it says it. It's the electronic attack. The radar engineer has to overcome this. The question is now, is it possible to defeat the radar? Yes, it is possible, as I said, using this electronic technique. There is another technique called, two techniques. One is by designing the radar surface, that is, it is called the camouflaging of this radar. The electromagnetic waves have got certain weakness. That is, when they strike a rounded surface, that reflection is low compared to when they strike a edge. Aircraft has got a lot of edges. It is a question of combination, so many things and put together. So therefore, when you make this, it is called the cell technology. This F-39, which Americans and other people are using, they are having this cell technology. They design the radar surface, the way that radar looks in what we know. It has got a fuselage, it has got UVs, all that. But this is a slightly odd shape, wherein wherever edges are there, they will try to round it off, and a lot of technology is gone because it's called the stealth technology. So when you have got this stealth technology, the echo power that we get back from the radar will be very, very. So therefore, radar will not be able to detect the target at a longer range. Second technology is people have found out certain types of special paints. If you put it on the aircraft, the electromagnetic energy absorbed. This is called the absorbing paints. The absorbing paints also If you put it on the aircraft, the electromagnetic energy that is reflected will get reduced. The technical term for this is to reduce the RCS, radar cross section of the target. That is, we use the stealth technology, radar cross section that is given to the electromagnetic wave is get reduced. For example, a radar cannot detect the missile because its RCS is very small. The radar definitely cannot detect a drone. It cannot detect a drone because the cross section of the particular object is tight. So these are the two technologies which are there are all classified technologies which are kept as a secret for computing. This is my answer.
సైకిల్ ఓడేమన్నారా మనకి గతగానే అప్పుడే ఏడు కానీ
So I have completed the answer. Any other question, please?
Sir? Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Sir, one more question, sir. How to identify the detected target is true or false?
Okay. There is one radar called IFS, Information Radar Code. See, when you are actually fighting a war, what happens is that our aircraft and the enemy aircraft will be fighting. So the detection of this particular, which one is ours, which one is enemies at that very high speed is not possible with human eye. So therefore, each of this radar, our friendly radar, are mounted what are called the transponders. Our friendly aircraft will be guiding from the ATC. Our military ATC will be guiding them, telling them your enemy aircraft is, let us say, 1.5 kilometers behind you. Please take care of the right side. Some enemy aircraft is there. How does the military ATC know that a particular aircraft is enemy aircraft or our own aircraft? So for that purpose, all our aircraft, friendly aircraft, are mounted in what are called the transponders. The transponders, what they do is, when we send a transmitted pulse, you know that there is an echo. Now, this particular friendly aircraft has got a receiver to fix up that particular pulse. In this particular thing, the pulse that is used for our friendly aircraft is a coded pulse. It decodes the pulse when it is matching with whatever is stored. What happens is that it replies back with a code, again with a code. So therefore, the operator, ATC operator here will know that the particular aircraft is enemy aircraft or a friendly aircraft. If it is a friendly aircraft, he will know, he will send a code. The receiver, ATC receiver will know the code. So therefore, it will recognize that it is our aircraft and it will be fine. But if it is an enemy aircraft receives the code, he doesn't know. he cannot reply. He doesn't know the code. This is how, in an actual talk, that people you recognize which is enemy aircraft, which is a friendly aircraft. That is how they start what you call yes, what the first of finding out. This is called the dog part. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Sir, one more question from the participant, sir. She asked one question. What is the maximum distance a radar can detect the target?
As I told in the beginning itself, distance depends upon the power. Longer the power, larger the power, longer will be the range. Suppose instead of 100 kilowatts, we go for a 2 megawatt. It will give a larger range because that echo, the receiver will have certain sensitivity. Beyond this power level, it will not be able to. Let us say 1 microwatt is the power level. So the echo that is coming from a larger transmitter will have the range will be low. So the range of the radar will be larger if the power is more. But there is a problem here. Unfortunately, our Earth is not flat. It is not flat. It is a spheroid. It is a spheroid. And the electromagnetic waves go in a straight line. When an aircraft is coming from a long distance, its height will be maintained constant. That means the curvature of the Earth, makes the radar, makes the aircraft not distinguishable. That is called the minimum range of the radar, depending upon the height of the radar. That is a simple equation you can calculate. How is the curvature of the Earth? How is the curvature of the Earth? What is the antenna? So simply trigonometric equation will give you, because the rays, the electromagnetic waves travel straight. So it will not take a curved path. So this is one limitation. Second limitation is the power. Longer the power, larger the power, larger the power. So second is because of the convection, you will not be able to see. It is analogy is same. If in your primary process, you have been told that you go to a particular seaport, stand there in a beach, you will see that the ship is moving from the beach, from the coast, slowly goes. So after some time, what happens? It disappears. Why it will disappear? Even if you put the binoculars, why it is disappearing? It is because it is Arctic has got a spheroid shape. That is how they say Arctic not flat. So this is the answer. Any other questions?
Participants, do you have any questions?
Yes, sir, I have a question. This is Prashant Reddy, sir. Hello. Sir, am I audible, sir?
You are audible, please.
Sir, you said that identifying of the friend and foe. Is there any method where we can imitate the enemy's signature and keep it on our plane, and we can transmit that one, sir?
Did you miss it?
Sir, I will repeat again, sir. Suppose if you go with an example of India and Pakistan, sir, we know the signature of the one aircraft signature of the Pakistan. We will take that one. And is there any method where we can imitate that signature on our plane and we can go to the Pakistan territory?
Possible. It is in the case of EW equipment. What happens is, suppose one aircraft, a ship of Pakistan, is transmitted. You will pick up that particular. You will pick up that particular.
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir. Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Now, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
Okay. The every pulse that is transmitted from a ship, the different ships will have what is called a signature, as we are told. In order to
Yes, sir.
find out the signature, you have very sophisticated signal processing, which has to be done with at very, very high frequency. At
Okay, sir.
10 gigahertz and things like that. So once you know that it is signature of this particular two ships, two aircraft will not have the same signature. So that's
Exactly.
what you can do is that you can capture those things, and but it is very, very, very sophisticated technique. People are working on that also, but when I was there, we were using one board, 32 processors with one board, because we should have to get the signature of those things and process through FFT also. We have those details. You can contact me later on. I will tell you of the signature analysis of possible. It is possible, but not many countries have other techniques.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, there is some noise at your end, sir. Any questions from the audience? Sir, if there is no question, then we can close the session, sir, with your permission.
Yes.
Yes.
can
Thank you.
close.
So tomorrow we will start day 4 at 11 o'clock. So I request all the participants to join before 10 minutes. Thank you, sir. Sir, we are closing the session, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Thank you.